Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of According to Sacha Podcast, the conversation series. We're here with you every week on a Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And then we're also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and the list goes on. You see it all down at the bottom of the screen. But I want to thank you for being here with us once again and, just being a good supporter, excuse me, a good supporter of our platform. We have a lot of interesting people up here, all different types of entrepreneurs. We have kidpreneurs on our Young CEO Hour, and we just thank you for everything you have done. But I want you to continue to do all those amazing things like, follow, and share all of our platforms, and you know where we are. If you're listening, definitely download, subscribe to the audio version. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, and then all the other social media platforms, definitely like it all and follow. So tonight's special guest is someone from my area, the Hampton Roads area in Virginia, and it is Geoffrey Lamont. He is a fashion designer, artist. He is the founder of Zooonek, and we're going to find out a lot about Zooonek. He has a lot of things going on, and it's so amazing. And before I do that, I do want to tell y'all, I don't have any videos to play or anything like that tonight, but I do have two things I want to share with you. If you're following me on any of my social media platforms, you see that I post a lot of things I'm a part of and things that I'm supporting. So there is one event that I'm a part of, and I want you women, entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, if you are really big on self-care and if you're looking for a retreat that you could really retreat away and you want to have all-inclusive stay at a beautiful resort and a nice tropical space and excursions are included and you have your fun in the sun and you can do all kinds of things and have a great time, but we do have one day that you do invest back into your business, and that is the I Breathe Women in Business Retreat. I want you to definitely connect with me. We want you to show up. The rates are very low, and it's only $50 for you to reserve your space. Just $50. And the overall trip is all inclusive. It's an all-inclusive resort, as well as your excursions. The retreat cost, everything is built in to the price, the overall price. And guess what? It is, at this point, it is under $2,000. So you can't beat that. 4 days in Jamaica with excursions, all inclusive resort, and it's a very popular resort. You want to get at me on that one, okay? So that's what I have on that one. And then also you'll start seeing me post more information about a young investors event. I'm supporting the Young Investors Group, and it's a local nonprofit, and they actually give back to the young kids in the communities, and they teach them how to invest, how, financial literacy and all these amazing good things. And they have a conference coming up called Investicon, and I want you to support that. So look out for all the information that I put up on that. And they're looking for sponsors. So if you want to have more information, just, email me or DM me, and then I can get you that information and let you know all about what we're doing with that conference. And that is going to be October the 1st. The retreat is in January 2023, but we want you to reserve right now to get in and lock in this good rate that we have, only $50. Okay. So that's all I have to share about anything that I'm participating on. Everything else you could catch online. And, but I do want to go ahead and get into this conversation with our special guest. And after this word from our sponsor, we'll be right back with Geoffrey Lamont. Entrepreneurship, small business, is something that everybody would love to do, making their own money. And this is what we will be talking about on According to Sacha. I forgot to put me on. Hey Jeffrey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm back here just like, moving my head to the beat, waiting. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I put him on. I forgot to put me on. But everybody, this is Geoffrey Lamont Owens. I always say because his on Facebook, he's Geoffrey Lamont. And I think that's so cool for a fashion designer name, right? So it's like Geoffrey Lamont. So I'm always calling him that. But he is Geoffrey Owens. He is one of 757's growing amazing fashion designer that you definitely want to keep up with, and we're going to get into all these things that I'm just like so ready to hear about, and I want you to too. So if you are an aspiring fashion designer or anything that your clothing brands or whatever you're doing out there in retail fashion and so forth, this is the night that you want to engage and ask questions, be engaged with us tonight. And people that I bring on this platform, you want to catch them now because they're going up to higher levels quickly. So this is the right time to ask your questions. So Jeffrey, thank you again for being here. It is a pleasure to have you. Now, the one question I ask everybody at the beginning of this conversation is, who is Geoffrey Lamont Owens?
Geoffrey Lamont Owens is a business owner of Jabor Salon Barber Day Spa. I'm a barber. I'm an artist, Jabor Arts, and I am a designer and a minister as well. So I carry all those titles. It's a heavy load, but I keep it moving.
All right. And that's great. And I'm gonna throw this out here because a lot of times people would say, "Oh my gosh, you can't do multiple things." So many people are doing multiple things. So how do you keep up with what you're doing?
Well, I balance it. The way I balance it is like, you know how you get a second job? So
Hmm.
my day job is barbering in my shop, and then when I transition close the shop, I'm designing. So that's my evening job. So I balance it according to that, and because I am self-employed, it's easier for me to maneuver my schedule. So if I have to travel, I kind of inform my clients in advance that I will not be here. I am traveling afar, and they've been really good with that, and I really thank them for that, supporting me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, how long have you been in, the fashion industry? Like, when did you get started?
Okay, so I've been in the industry maybe 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually got started. I was on IG,
Hmm.
and this brand called Raw Artists did a live interview with me from LA.
Hmm.
And initially, when they were interviewing me, I thought they wanted my art, but they actually wanted my brand, which I hadn't designed, sold any of that. I was just doing hoodies, taking my art, having them rhinestone, sending them off, and then heat pressing them. So that's initially where it started at. But it started from that, where I ran into this young lady at my church named Sonia, Sketch Couture, and she taught me how to sew in 30 days. And within those 30 days, I did my first collection, and the doors have been opening nonstop. It's just been so that's how I knew it was my destiny, that I was to be a designer. It was just things were just happening and
Yeah.
continue happening.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know we met back in 2019, I believe,
Yeah.
with Africana, and you were one of the painters, the artists, as a part of the art district I created for that event. I guess I'll call it the art district. But and then meeting you then, I just knew that we just had that connection, and you were just so phenomenal and so helpful and everything. Because I was just trying to keep it together with that event, and then from there, just staying connected and and bringing you into other pain and sips and all of that good stuff, and just to see everything that you're doing now, it's been so amazing. And I just want to kind of build it up. I just want to build it up. But before we get to all of that, the good stuff. Now let's talk about your art, because you did say that you do have art. You did rhinestones on it, and it was, I mean, you do some amazing work, and I think it's been featured in other like main settings. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm a painter, and my pieces, I ran into, excuse me, I met this young lady named Penza. She was in the Joann's, and I was getting fabrics, and she taught me how to pleat. And from there, not knowing in the future that she will wind up on Chicago Black Ink.
Mm.
But before she wound up on Chicago Black Ink, she came to my shop and she saw my paintings and she was asking and inquiring who were doing all these paintings. I said me. So she purchased a couple of my pieces, and my pieces actually wound up on the set of Chicago Black Ink.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Went from 757 all the way out to
Yeah,
Chicago.
child.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so, and then from there, like we follow each other. We've been following each other since we met, basically. And I just been seeing you just every time. Like you don't post a lot, but when you post, it is like, bam, like I'm out here, I'm doing this thing. And I just been seeing this traction build up and build up. So, you've gone from doing like hoodies and sweatshirts and everything. Now you're, sewing and actually, creating collections, fashion collections. What was your first industry style event or fashion show that you were in?
The first one was Raw Natural Born Artists in DC. And it was a struggle because I was learning. I was learning how to sew. I was learning how to make sure that when I finished the pieces, that they would fit the person, you know, not so perfect, but fit them where it's not, they're feeling uncomfortable. So it was a process, but I think that with me, I naturally had the gift. Uh, the more I did it, the easier it became.
Mhm.
I learned to, because I'm an artist, I learned to create my own patterns. So I would see a pattern and I would take that pattern. I was like, no, I want to make it into a Zooonek piece. So I
Mhm.
was off, cut the pattern and kind of create my own pieces. And that's how I learned how to create my own patterns.
Mhm.
So I think it's just been a self-taught, but I think the self-taught was that it was already there. And
Right.
it's just being activated. The more I do it, I become mature in it. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was the first one, was in DC, my first show.
Oh wow. I mean, evidently you're doing an amazing thing because you're getting the eyes of everybody right now. And I've seen you in publications, your collections, internationally. I mean, it's just seemed like it's just been going since what the last 2 years, going real strong, 2 or 3 years. And and just to see that, and I know before we came on, I was talking, I'm like, I love supporting people. Everybody that comes up here, if we're following each other, we're engaged. Like when you have a win, I'm back there like, oh yes, if I'm liking it, I'm loving your posts and everything, or saying congratulations, like I'm truly celebrating with you. And for you, it's just like really it's so genuine because I know the conversations we've had. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, to see you just transform into you're surpassing butterfly effect right now, and I'm just watching you and just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So you been to like New York's Fashion Week and been participating in that, or you just went straight overseas? Like, tell me, give me the gist of all of it.
So the okay, when I said that the doors naturally just open, it actually started where my friend Donna, she's a makeup artist. She knew this guy named Avery that was a designer for Flying Solo,
Mhm.
and she told him about me, and he called me personally on a Sunday and asked me would I be his assistant for New York Fashion Week.
Mhm.
So I said, yeah. So that was my first experience. So when I walked into that setting where all those designers internationally all over, I saw myself out of the box. Sometimes we don't, because I was here in 757, I
Mhm.
could not see beyond 757 until I went to a place that
Right.
was totally different from what I had experienced, to see that that is possible and
Mhm.
that some of the things that they were designing was just so out of the box that my mind went to a whole different place. So
Wow.
that's initially how it started. And the owner of the company, Elizabeth, that owned Flying Solo, I was wearing my hoodies at the time. She kept inquiring about who's designing these hoodies. Like, you keep coming every day with these different sweatshirts and hoodies. And I was like, it's my brand, Zoonique. So
Mhm.
she was just like, once everything over, email me and get in contact with me. So I did, and it was crazy. The pandemic hit, and when the pandemic hit, she they emailed me and wanted my clothing brand to be in one of their stores in Soho. So my brand actually wound up in one of their high-end stores in Soho, New York. And it just went from there. I went from New York Fashion Week to Paris Fashion Week, wound up in Harper's Bazaar, um, uh, Elle Magazine, a couple of high end
Mhm.
because of me being connected to flying solo. So that's how it started. I just took off, and
Wow.
I was just like, okay, this is happening, and I just went with it, regardless of me being shy and kind of reserved. I
Mhm.
said yes to it each time that it was happening versus pulling back. And each time I did it, I was so happy. I was
That's
just
wonderful.
happy.
Let's let's touch on that for a second because we have a lot of entrepreneurs and whatever they're doing, whether they're service based, product based, clothing brands or anything like that. And you just said something amazing. It was just more so like it took for you to come out of the area that you're in to broaden your perspective on things. And so many times I could see people post things or even my interaction with other business owners, and something we could get kind of complacent. And a lot of times we think about that complacency being within ourselves, but it could still be in your area. And it does take for you to kind of, broaden your wings and fly, stretch your wings out and fly. And for you, that door opened up when you showed up, and it took for you to show up in a whole different state. And it was just like everything was waiting for you right there. And for you to say that, you said yes. Like that was one of the things that everything that I'm doing now, I tell people it's all about how you show up and just saying yes to the things that even if you don't know what's on the other side of it, but you feel it in you that is a destiny, a purpose, or something, you just go for it.
Yeah.
And the other thing you touched on too is being shy and reserved. You have so many people, I see so many people talk about being introverts and or being business owners and being introverts and how they can really, what market can they tap in or how can they market themselves when they are shy and having to get out of that, and a lot of times they never leave, but it's just like you're saying your purpose and your destiny is more than your shyness. And
Yeah. So this
you
is
go for it.
so the crazy thing is my training, a lot of times we don't realize when we step into it, my training of being on podcast, me, walking down the runway after my collection has went forth, is allowing me to become a little bit more comfortable with, even though I'm shy, being comfortable with the cameras, being comfortable with being amongst a lot of people, that it makes it a little easier. And I learned that it's not about me, it's about encouraging somebody else that may be in that situation where they're scared or don't want to go forth. So to me, that's my driving force, is that all things are possible. I was one of those people that did not see it and still don't, even though I'm in it, I still in awe, just sit back and just like, I can't believe this is like really really happening with me. But I walk through it each door by saying yes and saying, okay, I don't know what I'm really jumping to. I'm jumping into the deep, but I know you got me, and I'm trusting the process, and I always come out happier because I opened that next door.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah,
That's deep.
yeah,
When you open up that next door, you become happier.
yeah,
Because you're meeting that part of your life that's waiting for you to show up. So it's like that happiness is like, oh, it takes you to this level. Then you got some more opportunities, and it's like, oh, that's coming too. And it's an amazing feeling. So, what would you say to anyone out there who may experience those type of things, like being shy? Um, Other than what you have mentioned now, like what else of a part of encouragement can you give them?
I just say this: just go forward, even though you don't understand it. And if it's something in you that you really have passion about that you want to do, you cannot allow the paralyzing of not wanting to step forward and do it, because your mind would just be blown that the doors that are waiting for you to be open. So I just say, push past that, push past your shyness, push past you know who you think or what you think is going to happen, because a lot of times in our mind what we think never really happens. It's just
Mm,
the total opposite. And that's what was happening for me and continually happened for me, is the fearfulness of thinking that it's not going to work, or I don't want to do it by myself, actually
Mhm.
makes me a stronger and a better person in the level that I'm about to step into. That if nobody's there, I still have to go forward. I can't have somebody holding their hand, hoping that they can go and ride with me when I know that this is my purpose. And
Mhm.
if they, a part of it, it'll come together and there'll be the resources, or there'll be whatever it is that's supposed to be a part of Zoonique, the brand. So right now it's about you going forward and letting those doors open, because the resources are truly there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. And there's another point you just made. Sometimes, like you said, a lot of times we're so used to having people around us, and not saying that our journey is not for them, but at the same time, when you're looking at your journey and the things that you want to do and the purpose that's for your journey, it's like you can't stand back and wait, for your friends, your family, and everything. They'll come up, they'll get in alignment. It's not like you say, oh, I forget about them. They'll be aligned. But it's like you still have to continue to walk forward, like you said, and continue to push past that. Because if not, you'll still hold yourself back from those opportunities that's just waiting for you to show up. And then if you never show up, you never know what opportunity was waiting for you. So that's amazing that you said that. So I really love that. Now tell me, like, what is next for Zoonique?
Well, the next thing is I am September 28th, I will be in the air going to Germany. And I'm doing a 5 city tour, and I'm actually getting pieces together now. I have to have 25 pieces. And that's the next great thing. Maybe in New York Fashion Week. I haven't, got the up yet, but right now I'm just preparing for that collection. I'm really trying to get that together, and you know how you said you got to step forward. I
Yeah.
think I'm in major transition,
Mm.
and I've been struggling with it, but I know where I'm going to go. I don't think that I'm gonna be in 757 too much longer.
Yeah.
So when you're getting pushed out of what
Mm-hmm.
you're comfortable with, and
Yeah.
everything's starting to seem like it's drying up where you're at, and he already told you that it's time to go. I,
Yeah.
I'm being pushed into that. I'm being pushed into that destiny, and that's a lot of times we don't realize once we step into it.
Mm-hmm.
The doors are open, but then there comes a time where it's really truly going to happen, and there's a pushing, like a
Mm-hmm.
birthing, a pushing into those promises, and you don't want to let this go or let that go, but it's forced. And then
Mm-hmm.
once it's forced, you just like, okay, and the people and the things that you think you were going to lose wind up being a part of that. So
Yeah.
that is like me and my family right now, where they can't go because I have to go by myself. I have to step into this. But once everything is where it needs to be, they'll be like, okay, we get it. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
now y'all understand why I was struggling or whatever the scenario is. So yeah,
Right.
there's a transition going on for me.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, have you ever, like, just kind of thinking back, like where you are now, where you're transitioning to, had there been ever at any point in time in your past life that you thought that you would be right here at this moment?
I did. When I was a little kid, my mom and my brother could tell you, it used to be this show that used to come on Saturday called um, The Rich and Famous, and they would have their runway shows. I would
Yeah.
sit in front of that TV and look at those runway shows and see myself as one of those designers. So I
Mhm.
always, even my family, when they look at me now, I was always a dresser. They was like, you can dress, like I could put stuff together. So I kind of knew, but I just, as a child growing up back in my era, those things just didn't seem possible. It was
Mhm.
just like, I don't see it. Like, those are Calvin Klein and Gucci, and they're the ones that have that, you know, that territory nipped in the butt. I don't see myself in major department stores. But when things start happening and I start having the dreams and all
Mhm.
these things are coming to pass, then the impossible becomes possible. And then I see myself there and I say, okay, I can see Zoonique in a major department store. I can see Zoonique in a boutique of my own and I can see the vision. I can see the sheets and just not just clothes, but a major line. And I'm excited. I'm excited where it's going, and I just want to be able to once I get there, other people be a part of it. That I can help them. So that's really my driving force is being an influencer for other people.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. Now, we're going to close out. In final words, I always ask the question, like, if there are any bits of advice other than what you have given, from an entrepreneurship perspective as a fashion designer, and anybody who wants to get into whether it's design, or if they just want to get into like owning clothing brands or anything like that, what are the top 3 steps that you would give them?
Um, I would say get involved in people that are already designing. Um, See where the mainstream in your area that are doing fashion shows and get involved and just take your stuff, put it up on IG. You never know who's watching because that's how I got pulled. Somebody was actually watching me and I didn't even realize they was watching me and actually called me. So you just never know. Never give up. Continue just putting your stuff up, get in the community where they're having fashion, connect with designers that are actually doing major things in your area and just kind of flow with what you see yourself in fashion with that community and people will pull you, people will put you out there. And me being shy, it took a minute, but everybody was like, boy, what in the world? So once I was out there, everybody was pulling me and wanted me to be in the shows. It was just like, I never thought. But I feel like I would have been in it quicker if I wasn't so shy, but it is what it is. I think it was timing. And I think it was perfect for me, the timing where I'm at now. I'm mature. I'm ready to do it and not do crazy and party. And I'm going to probably do that, but not on the level that I probably would have did. I probably would have been broke.
So look, that time that had to mature you a little bit so you could be ready for the real part of it. But I have to say this, because you always say because you're shy and everything, but I'm gonna tell you, when you're in your element, you can't tell. It's like when we were back in Virginia Beach at the Africana, it was just like you're out there helping them, put the paint pieces together and all this other stuff in the paint and sip that we did. And you were like in it. You were just right here, right there. Oh, what else can I do? And I was like, oh, this guy is outgoing. He's all that and everything. And I definitely could not tell the shyness at all. Yeah. But that's a good thing because then you know how to turn it on and off. Yeah. But that's even a preparation for you where you're at now, because you definitely, it's all about being yourself, and who you are is who you are. But then knowing how to show up as your best part of who you are in any room that you're in, that's what it's all about. So I really, really do appreciate you being here. Everybody, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation. And I want you to definitely follow Geoffrey's, and not just Geoffrey's journey, but the journey of Zooonek. Follow that right now, because you would want to say, look, I saw that name before I saw it in the major department store, or in the high fashion. And that's one thing I do want to say, your collection is something that can go either way. And that's one thing I really, because when you think about fashion designers, sometimes it could be so high couture that you can't get it in the store. It's like you cannot see that on somebody walking around every day. It's just like for art and fashion alone. But your pieces are very timeless. They're very timeless. They're chic, but yet they're, you can still see. You guys, look, there's a lot of stuff y'all don't know about me, but I watch Top Model a whole lot. And I used to watch a whole lot of fashion shows and always been into fashion myself, so I could speak these things. But that's enough about me. But anyway, but your collection is like that, and so that's one thing you could be able to say, yes, it will be in a high end, or in a high end, definitely high end, but then maybe come down to a Target level, because that's high end on the low level.
Yes, I'm good.
Right.
I want everybody to wear Zooonek.
But being everywhere, you can see it in Soho, or you can see it, in a Macy's, or, whatever else, Neiman Marcus, or so forth. And, but yeah, I really, really do. I'm gonna continue to follow your journey.
Thank you so much.
We're connected. So I'm just like,
Yes,
hey,
always.
if ever I can support you, I'm here. But definitely, you guys follow Geoffrey's journey, and the IG is right here. Is Zoonique Urban Edge. Go and follow him right now, and that way you can keep up with the upcoming things he's going to be doing in September and anything else that's going on. You want to get connected now. So Geoffrey, thank you so much for being here. I
Thank
really
you.
do appreciate you.
I
And
appreciate you.
just stay back 1 second, and I'll be right back with you. But I'm going to go ahead and close out with my folks real quick. All right, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this interview tonight. I told y'all I do. I bring some very interesting people, some very professional entrepreneurs, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. My whole motto and my narrative and message is that the foundation of every industry is business. So regardless on if you're a fashion designer or you're a painter or music artist, author, or you have products, if you have service, whatever it is, it's all business. If it's transactional and as well as being transformation, evolve with it, but you still are an entrepreneur and you are a business. So if you're that, you always got a spot right here. And if you are out there and you would like to be on our show, definitely email us at accordingtosasha@gmail.com. That's according, the number two, Sacha, SACHA, @gmail.com. I always have to do that for my listeners. And, but I definitely want you to reach out to me. And if you're, interested in being a show sponsor, you can reach out to us as well, and we can get you that information. And so thank you so much for being here with us tonight for another episode. We'll be back next week and with another great entrepreneur. And remember to command your day and everything you do, be great. See you later, guys.